actually one of the easiest fixes that I have with just about anyone that I work with. Anyone that I talk to, the easiest fix is your mental energy. How are you in the lead up to the games? Yeah. What are you preserving it? Are you regenerating it through meditation or sleep, and then are you overthinking situations and lead up to a game? So that's the first step that I work with, and you just see like it was for me as well, because I was amazing at torching my mental energy. I was a weapon at that. So that is probably the most important step as a starting point to give yourself the best chance of performing at your best.
Absolutely. No, very true. And just quickly, what I used to do, because I believed in preparation needed to be competitive, and I would really have a middle session like I would play in a game, but I would try and have that session 2 days before a match, because it would really hurt me mentally the night before. So the day before the game, it was all about just getting fresh physically and mentally. And the way I would do that was to still go to training more often than not, and then literally just be there and to walk around the field, almost playing putt sometimes, hitting balls on the ground, playing little childish games or kiddish games that I used to do when I was growing up, and then just connect with nature. So I would literally try and get into a garden, have a swim, and maybe at the very most watch a movie. But then again, that's also screen time.
No, a movie's a great way. If you're engaged, and that's the thing, there's techniques that you can use when you are fully engaged and present in the moment. Okay. And watching a good movie, is a way to be present.
You're actually present.
It's like having a conversation, like a proper conversation.
Exactly.
We're actually listening to what's being said, and you're playing off each other.
Okay, so we're doing the right things then.
You're present. Exactly. But so for you, how did you know that worked for you?
Just by the way I felt the next day.
Okay.
And I struggled quite a bit towards the back end of my career with feeling a bit anxious, and that's the next topic I'm going to discuss.
Okay.
We'll get there, but I countered that through not training intensely the day before, because I found myself wanting to win that net session against the bowlers, but then I would also think about the game the next day, and I would feel tired when I did have that competitive session the day before. So I sort of scraped that the last 5-6 years of my career, which helped a lot. And it just made me also believe in myself a bit more. Believe no matter what, the prep is done. I don't have to worry anymore. It's done. It's finished.
Yep.
And that comes to the next point. And what I struggled with most towards the back end of my career is expectation. And you had this very nice, I won't say game, a technique or a thing I had to go through. I don't know how to say it, but it's a grid of numbers.
Skill of focus.
Yes. Yeah. So going through these numbers, you said in a minute, I've got to try and get as many as possible from 1 to 100, and it's all scattered. And I think getting to 10 or 15, you start realizing it's close to a minute. And just on the right on the next page, it says, on average, all the good guys get between 40 and 50 in a minute. And I immediately felt that panic and expectation, like, am I below average?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of panic, and then you turn the page and you write about that, feeling that, am I performing below average? Am I good enough? And that was one of the biggest things, and more so the expectation I put on myself towards the back end of my career than the crowds and family and coaches.
Yeah.
I sort of learned to deal with that naturally over time. It's something you can discuss if you want to, but that anxiety at night before a big game, feeling like, I've got to do it again, I've got to do it again, I've got to do it again. It ultimately started suffocating me in a way, where I really had to find my own techniques, and I don't even know if I maybe use some of the stuff, but did counter it finally. But at the end of the day, looking back, I don't miss that, It's something I'm glad I'm away from. So just talk a little bit about the grid and the numbers and what you think about expectations and how you dealt with it through your career.
So the skill of focus grid is one of the best and simple ways to be able to understand how your focus really changes even in a minute, and knowing how critically important your focus is to perform at your best. If the one thought that I need to have is watch the ball as the ball comes out, I need to be able to do that without being distracted. And the skill of focus is a way to be able to, in a minute, to be able to work through. So for me to be as fast as I can through that grid, from 0-0 all the way through to 99, for me to be as fast as I can, I've just got to have one thought. And that's it. Is if it's 55, it's all I have is the number 55 on top of that grid, and that's the only thing that I think of, and it just jumps out at you.
Wow.
Bang.
That's amazing.
So, but even in a minute, your mind starts to wander. Do you go, if there can be a number that you're looking for, and you go, it's not even here. right? Or you're working through it, and to be quick, you've got to just keep that number there. But then you start going up and down the grid and across it, and then you miss it, and then you're like, or you can start thinking about, oh, how long to go? How much time's left? Oh my gosh, I should be in the 20s or 30s right now.
You're thinking about the result instead of the process.
That's it. So even something as simple in a minute, you can see your mind starting to wander, whereas the most critical thing is the one thought, to be as fast as you can at that. And that's where the skill of focus grid is just a great way to understand that if the most critical thing for me is to be able to just have one thought on watching the ball, if that's the most critical thing for me to perform my best, well, I need to train that because it's a skill. Some people are better at it than others to do it more consistently, but if you're mentally fatigued, if there's stuff going on, if there's distractions, then it's easy for your mind to wander.
Sure.
So that's just it's one of the most important skills, and that's around like mental energy as well. Because if you're incorrectly focused, then you burn through your mental energy, and then your ability to be able to pull yourself back is on task to the most important thing is hard to be able to do. So that's where it comes to the skill of focus. When it comes to expectations and anxiety around performance, look, I suppose from my perspective, I probably didn't have as much weight on my shoulders as you because of your immense skill that you had and what you were able to do at all situations of a game. But the one thing that I'd learnt after I learnt this information was just because I understood finally that I'm in control of my thoughts. That I'm fully in control of my thoughts. If I want to take control, I can. It's the most critical function of the conscious mind is that you are in control of your thoughts.
Yeah.
So by taking control of those thoughts, especially in the lead up to a game, knowing that I was going to have time to sit down and do my preparation, go through strategy, work through who I'm going to be up against, and just work through those things. I sectioned that time aside. But outside of that, as soon as I listened to my thoughts and they started to think about the game, I caught it and just redirected it. And for me, the easiest way to just redirect it was to put a song into my head, because that was my anchor just to pull it to no matter what. So everyone needs to understand what their anchor is. Mine was music, a song.
Yeah.
Other people is breathing, just focusing on their breath. Some people in performance-wise, like Sir Viv Richards, is chewing gum. That was his way of being present, just to like getting in the rhythm of it. Other people was looking out into the distance. But that was my way of making sure as soon as my mind started to move towards, God, it's a final. Oh, geez, I've got to perform.
Yeah.
I've got to perform my best today. I just catch and go, no. Now's not the time to burn any mental energy. I need it for the game.
Yeah.
So I'd just put a song into my head and just redirect it.
That was one of the points I put down. You speak about Glenn McGrath and Michael Clark, and that they used to do that. I actually also went to music. I always had a tune in my head. I'm also always whistling a melody at home while I'm packing my bags. Always got a bit of music.
By choice, or it just happens?
It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just happens. It's almost a focus thing in a way. I feel I'm more effective probably by doing so, and I just go. I can pack a bag in 5 minutes when I'm whistling a tune.
100%, because it means your mind's on neutral, and then you're actually tapping into your unconscious mind, and you just,
what needs to be done.
That's it.
Happens naturally.
And that's where like Michael Clark and Glenn McGrath, they did it, and they knew that it worked really well because they sustained their mental energy for long periods of time. Sure. They weren't wasting mental energy by overthinking situations, but they didn't know like why it was so important. They just did it, and they go, "Oh, it works so well for me," so I just kept doing it. Whereas Jacques, because of this information, gave me the why. I'm like, well, I'm doing that because I know I look back at some of my best performances, and they were when I had a catchy song in the head.
Absolutely.
Without thinking about it, just there. So I'm jamming that in.
That's just another tool. Watching footage of yourself. It's something you talk about that you obviously you say you were a little bit shy of doing early on in your career. You saw Bing do it.
Yeah.
Brett. I must say, I always said in interviews that I don't do it, but I actually sneakily looked at some of my best knocks always, and I honestly wanted to see how I moved and why did I have so much time in that innings and not in that one. What do you think of that?
It's one of the most important things that people can do, honestly. Two things that I teach and two things that I did immediately was when I understood this information. One is One was understand my mental energy and be really, really careful around overthinking anything. So I had as much mental energy as possible. So that's the one thing that I talk about people with to start with. The second one is watching footage of your best performances, because what this book culminates to right at the end is called an ACT model, which is more so just a word-defined very best version of you, your best performance, and deeply defining it in attributes of you. Whereas watching footage of you in that innings is actually seeing you doing it and seeing that super version of yourself. And so many times people will only watch footage of themselves on their best days when they've had a long period, or quite a long period, where they've struggled and they haven't scored runs. They felt like, oh, I lost it. What's going on? And then you go, geez, and just watch a bit of footage, and all of a sudden you go, oh. And you might pick up a technical thing, or it might just be, oh, geez, I've just got so much freedom in mind there. I'm just reacting. Oh, my God, that's amazing. So by watching footage of your best innings, it's so powerful. And, yeah, Brett Lee did it and used to get, nailed in the bus. The lead up to a game, everyone be, on an iPad watching the footage of the opposition, and being on the way to the ground, I'd be watching him bowling 160 Ks, stumps and pegs going everywhere, and everyone was like, what are you doing? Self-indulgent, right? But he was doing it, so then that's me my best. Come on, let's go. Get me out there. That's the version I'm taking to the game today. It's a superpower, because you're just seeing the super version of you and go, oh yeah, that's what I'm bringing today, because that's actually me. It's not my favourite player doing amazing things. It's actually me.
I know. I fully agree with you. And there was one IPL season, I can't remember, it's 2015 or 14, where for some reason I couldn't find the highlights on telly when I got home after a good knock. I would always go to the television screen, put highlights on, because I wanted to see how I moved with certain shots. And I couldn't pick it up in that season. It wasn't on YouTube because of broadcasting rights. Some of that appeared on Twitter and then was immediately taken off. So it was a very frustrating season. Yeah. But I find it very powerful. I really do. And when I'm home and I have a bad day or two, I still to this day remember a memory pops up of a knock at Lords or whatever, and I would actually just go and revisit that memory. And even though you're not boasting about your own performance, it's also good to revisit some memories of your life in general as well, I think. Yeah. Fantastic. So, yeah, I agree with that one. Calmness versus the intensity meter. Okay. So, I like this one because I had a long thought about this and a discussion with Arya, the guy who helped me with this, reading through the book and giving me some notes. So you're talking about the perfect calmness versus intensity meter, where for me it was different with every game. And I argued a bit with the guy sitting in this room, not so far away, where I feel it needs to be different. But what's your take on that? What is the intensity and calmness meter?
So the calmness and intensity, it's a speedometer, is understanding when you've had, in general, your best days. Where have you been? So from a calm perspective, normally when you've had your best days, it's on the lower side. It's somewhere between 2 and say 4. So you're not 0 is you're asleep, you're unconscious, and 10 is you're frazzled, you're freaked out, you're just, right? So that's 10. So normally when you've had your best days, in the lead up to a game, you're aware and you're switched on enough, but you're calm and I've got this, I'm good. And then in your performance, you've got that calmness, but you're still intense when you need to be as well. So the intensity dial is in your best performances, what intensity level did you generally have? So for me, I look back at at my performances when I defined this speedometers, and majority of these performances, my best performances, was when there was an outside influence that got me engaged in the battle. Oh. Right? So whether that was a bowler or someone in the field having a go at me.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
So that was come on, I'm coming for you. Yeah. So instead of me having the inner battle, going, oh, don't get out, I need to score runs today, straight away my mind was outward and going, oh, let's go. Oh. Come on. Right? So, or there was when I defined my ACT model around, there's actually a situation outside that was going on with the team, which was I'm going to show you. Right? So for me, at my very best, majority of the time, my intensity level was like 8.5.
Okay.
Right? So I was pushing the limit, and for me to be able to... And knowing that, I had to make a decision every single game to go, I've got to get there.
Yeah.
It takes it takes a lot of mental energy to get up to that intensity.
Okay.
But for me, at my best, I need to get there. Otherwise, if I don't, there's more chance of me sitting down after the game and going, you sucked
For
today.
sure. You
Yeah,
gotta
we're
find
off,
ways
a
to
bit
get
off.
that in the perfect
So,
spot.
and whereas other people, and this is what I write, I think I write in the book as well, right? That I said, like, someone like AB playing against you, you just got into your own bubble. And you didn't need external influence at all for you to get into your space, your zone. So you never looked at a bowl, you turned your back, just mark centre, you're like, come on, you're like, just mark centre, and like, come on. Right?
Yeah, so what I believe in there was I wanted to win the battle first. So one of my big battles was against Mitch, the very fierce, fast left-hander. And I knew that I couldn't afford in the first 10 to 20 to 30 balls to get involved in that battle. I wanted to wear him down first. So there was a technique that I used to... I was very happy to get involved later on. But
Okay.
I must have felt really comfortable at the time first, before I would engage in anything.
Yep.
But then also you would have to come pretty hard at me for me to go, excuse me, and like,
Yep.
now you can come. I'm a 30 not out. I know
Yeah.
where I'm at. I can see the ball.
Yeah.
It's weird. So that was one game plan. The other one was to really engage with the opposition in a body language way, physical way, without really saying anything.
Exactly.
But being quite a shy guy, I wouldn't often make eye contact. But my best knocks in the biggest series I played, I would look up and just look at a James Anderson or Pat Cummins, and without saying a word, telling them I'm here, you know. And in that way, you almost put everything on the line, because if you get out there, they're coming after you, and you'll hear about it.
Yep.
So very powerful stuff there.
So what would you say then, from an intensity level? What would you say you would sit? So 8. So 10 out of 10 intensity level is you've got into a fight and you've punched the umpire or a player out,
Yeah.
right?
So I misunderstood the meters a bit.
Yeah, okay.
Where I felt, looking at it, I feel that they influence each other.
Yep.
So sometimes my calmness would be too high or too low,
Yep.
but I feel my intensity would sort of impact that, and
Yep.
I needed to get that at the optimum level then to lift the calmness a bit, or whatever, or bring it down, whatever
Yep.
the case may be.
Yep.
So that's the way I read it.
Yep.
I felt that they sort of work together in a way. But yes, I think it's very similar to you. I think the calmer I was on the day, but with a bit more intensity, that's when I played at my best. For instance, and you speak about it in the book, the piece you write about me, the knock at Sydney, where I was sick the night before, so that completely took my focus off the performance. I was very calm. I was sleeping before I went out to bat. They woke me up and said, "You in? Do you want to bat?" So I said, "No, I'll go." But very calm, no pressure whatsoever, no expectation. And then I just realised, okay, when I was in 20, I just got to up the intensity a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the doors opened up, and I saw a lot of freedom. And it's amazing. It's a very powerful tool, and that's part of the piece you write about me, is sort of playing in your own movie. And we've spoken about this before. And thank you very much for writing about that. You got it absolutely spot on. I love
mind.
it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
No, I absolutely love that. But it comes down to being prepared to risk it all. And you must be prepared to lose everything in order to... At least it worked for me. It sort of put me on a completely different level when I went face to face with a Cummins and a Stark and a Hazelwood. My gut feel would tell me, "Oh my word, I'm scared. Everything I can lose everything here."
Yep.
But the minute I turned around and went, "Okay, but let's put everything on the table.
Yep.
Let's play for it," then all of a sudden supernatural stuff happened. So I wish I could do that more often, and that was like the zone for me when I faced up to my fears. Anyway, let's finish off with the best for last. You talk about the
Gold,
app model.
isn't it? It's gold.
It is gold.
It's gold.
So thanks for writing about it, and you got it spot on. And I do feel it's something you can use in everyday life as well.
100%.
There's stuff every single day that you fear and that you're scared of doing, scared of talking, doing a public speech in front of people, for instance. And then just to put yourself out there. It doesn't matter if you fail, just that experience. And you'll surprise yourself the supernatural stuff that you get up to when you actually just put yourself out there.
And fully commit.
Yeah, and fully commit.
Yep.
And you might get it wrong once or twice.
You will.
But you do it two or three times, the next time you walk out there and you'll just feel like, okay, I'm in the middle of the battle here, but I'm feeling calm and I'm ready.
Yep.
So you touched on the ACT model, and it's possibly the most important part of the book. What is that? How do you rate it? How do you keep score? What is it exactly?
So the ACT model is it really just pulls all the information together, and then it's a performance model of you at your very best. And it's just sitting down, taking time to define your very best performance. So then by defining it in attributes, so whether, so mine from a cricket perspective was calm, correct focus, smart, which was tapping into my gut feel, reacting, which for me was not premeditating. The next one was an intensity one, which was FU.
Yeah.
Because I needed that battle for me to let go. And the last one was aggressive, which for me was, if all else failed and I just put aggressive into my mind as the ball was bowled, I was still going to be fine. So, and that was defining around a day. It was an innings that I played against KKR for Rajasthan Royals. It was the last game of the league games, and we ended up playing RCB in the eliminator, which we got knocked out in. But it was a game where it was just a day where you just dreamed of. It was a knockout game. If we lost, we're out. And I got 100 and I batted as well as I had. And I was defining my ACT model around that situation, that game, but also the lead up to it and the pieces, the puzzle that sort of just zeroed me into that performance. So the ACT model is an attribute version of you watching that footage, you watching that best version of you. So then when you don't have access to watch that footage, you've got those words written down. So when you step on to perform, you go calm, and just making sure you're ticking those off every single time. So you know what you're chasing. Because most of the time we don't define our best version, our best performances or our best performance. So we don't know exactly what we're chasing every time we go out. Technically, we normally do. But mentally, a lot of the time, we haven't defined it, so we don't know exactly what we're chasing, which version of us we're chasing. And that's the power of it.
Yeah. To
be able to know. And then the debrief after is, okay, with all my attributes of me at my very best, how was I today? Was I calm? Was I 10 out of 10, that best version of me, or was I a bit overthought situations a bit much when the lead up to the game? Was I correctly focused or was I incorrectly focused? Was I trusting my gut instinct, or did I sort of second guess it? Was I reacting or was I premeditating? Right, so just go. That's a really simple way to debrief as well. So it takes all the emotion and the you're rubbish, you didn't perform, and it just breaks it down really simply to go, okay, well next time I'll just do this a bit better. I'll do this a bit better. So then you can step through and you're learning every single time you perform.
It's amazing, and you can always go back to certain phases in your career because it's a consistent thing that you keep doing, and you can go back and revisit why did it go so well there, why is it not going so well now, and you pick up little ideas and things that you used to do and you implement it again.
Yep.
It's a very powerful tool. Thanks for that. You believe a bit in yoga, Pilates, whatever it may be.
Yep.
You met Pat Cash and sort of picked it up from him.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That was he said something so profound at the time that Pat Cash said, look, when you're young, your muscles, your bones are really supple and flexible and all that sort of stuff. Like you don't strain a muscle when you're young. Yeah. Right? I had a lot of muscle injuries, especially throughout my career. And he goes, and when you get older, your muscles just over time tighten up, whether you're enhancing, tightening up because you're doing gym and all that sort of stuff. So you need to keep them long and supple. So yoga, stretching and that sort of thing. So that was one thing that I implemented from really that moment on. I got taught how to do a yoga routine, but then the other thing was meditation as well. And that was one thing that I did initially to try and, because I had neural sort of hamstring and calf injuries, it was a way to try and desensitize my neural system in a way. But the meditation then morphed into a way to regenerate my mental energy.
Sure.
So meditation and sleep are the best ways to be able to regenerate your mental energy. So that was my way of being able to try and make sure I was as full, had my batteries as full as I possibly could mentally going into a game.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, Pat Cash is a absolute legend of a former tennis player. Used to wear the sweatband, like a
check
black
it.
and white
Yeah.
sweatband.
Yeah, and he won Wimbledon.
He won Wimbledon. I grew up watching him. I loved his attitude on the court. A bit of a fighter and always in the heat of the battle. That's all the factual stuff that we covered now. Well done with the book once again, The Winner's Mindset. If you haven't seen it, get a hold of it. It's everywhere. I'm pretty sure you can get it in most online stores and so on.
It's available in India, all online stores, or in most bookstores.
Okay.
It's available in Australia in all bookstores, but online, so ebooks and the audiobook, it's available all around the world.
Okay, great. Just a few more light-hearted stuff.
Please.
Hobbies. I know you love music. Any other hobbies, or do you want to chat about the music a bit? What do you love about music, and where did it start?
I love music. I love listening to music. That's just my way of just chilling and relaxing. But having a chance to be able to then play music with my mates, it doesn't happen that much anymore because I'm not on tour that much anymore. So even to be able to spend time with the mates, like jamming, time just vanishes. It's so much fun. So
it is. What about the children? Do they play? Or you
they don't really play at the moment. I'm trying to get them into it, but they've got plenty of things on the go.
They don't have time for that as of yet. They'll regret it if they don't get into it. So I'm going to keep pushing it.
Yep.
My boys are playing piano, and the eldest one is starting to lose interest now.
Yep.
Because he wants to be cooler.
Yep.
But now I'm going to tell him it's cool to play guitar. So that's the next step.
If
you've got the basics of piano, you can read music. Now go and play guitar.
That's it. That's where it all goes. That's
any other hobbies, Watto?
Oh, golf.
You love golf.
I'm obsessed, and I don't play enough at the moment, just because when I'm at home trying to balance family time with golf, because it's an individual selfish pursuit. Going out to the golf course, and it's long. It can be long the days as well.
The mind, it's like meditational in a way.
I love it. I love the challenge. I love the challenge of it, and I want to get a lot better at it. Yeah. But I also love going out to a golf course where you've seen people take so much care and pride in every little blade of grass. It's just it's the ultimate.
Movies, favorite movie, and are you a crier? Do you cry in movies?
Oh yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Me too.
Definitely. Oh yeah, sitting on a plane and you watch an amazing movie and just got tears streaming down.
My
you're like,
word! I've got to hide. I swear, I'm ridiculous. I'm really bad. Terrible. Your favorite musical instrument, probably a guitar, or is there something else?
No, I love the guitar.
Okay.
Whether it's acoustic, electric, and it's so portable as well. But I think the most beautiful sounding instrument, if you know how to play it well, is the piano, because it's so versatile.
Yeah.
It's so versatile. You can do anything. You can play bass and lead and just...
That is incredible. I'm a very lucky man. My wife plays like 4 or 5 times a week, and she's really good at it.
There you go.
It's pretty special. I do enjoy...
He's got everything.
I do. I am pretty lucky there. I do enjoy the sound of a saxophone, and someone is really good 100%. At that. And I feel it goes really well with the piano and someone singing. You can do some special stuff with that. Guys, I'm gonna let this man go. He just finished with his gym work. Thank you very much for joining the get together with Shane Watson. Go buy his book. It really is worth it. I'm not a huge reader. I only read the good stuff, and this is good. So Watto, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, as always.
And we'll catch up next time. I'm pretty sure there's a follow-up coming soon, or in the near future.
There will be.
Yeah.
It's less cricket specific.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. Well
Cheers,
done.
mate.
Cheers,
Thanks.
mate.